YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV, another game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. Back to the moon, and we are looking at this image from the Apollo 8 mission, which was in 1968, and this was taken obviously above the moon, and you can see the Earth in the background there, so any flat earthers out there, you're on the wrong channel. You don't want to be watching this because this has plenty of evidence that the Earth is round. In fact, if you go on the main page here, the main Flickr page with all the Apollo missions on it, at least most of them, there are missing magazines here. Some of them have been lost apparently. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty obvious. You know, you can see there are hundreds of pictures of the Earth taken from space and above the moon. So how they've possibly faked all of these, and of course, people do say that we didn't land on the moon. I think we did, but I also think that they did doctor some of the images. Some of the images like this have had the backgrounds tampered with. They've had objects removed from the background because obviously there are buildings on the moon and they don't want you to see them. Simple as that. So I'm not saying all these images have been tampered with, but some of them have. And a lot of them are just missing. A lot of the magazines have just been lost apparently, but I'm not really sure whether they have been or not. I think they've probably just hidden them away so the public can't see them, because there are lots of buildings on the moon, and of course they're very old. And if they admitted that they were there, that would blow apart our thoughts on human evolution, perhaps, and many other things, and religion, and would cause a massive ruption in the Catholic Church and everywhere else. So there we have it. So that's a quick look at that site. So links will all be below as usual for you. And if you're a new subscriber, as many of you are, thank you for coming on board recently. I've had a lot of new subscribers from Russia and India and all over the world, South Korea and places like that. Welcome aboard. Good to have you on board. So let's get on with it. This is the image here. Let's look at the image information first very quickly. It's AS08-13-2329. Apollo 8 Hasselblad image from the magazine 13-E, Lunar Orbit Trans-Earth Coast. Right, okay. And doesn't say a lot about it apart from that really. There's a couple of comments here. Nothing too interesting there. So let's get on with it. I've got it up in the folder and I've taken some clips, but I'll show you the raw image first. Here we are. And there is some image damage to this. Now, for those of you who don't know my moon videos, I do know a bit about Apollo because my father-in-law was actually working on the Apollo mission and was a thermodynamic engineer and made the thermal shielding for the Apollo 11 Eagle, which was sent up to the moon a bit later than this. This would have been 68, and obviously Apollo 11 was a bit later. There was another couple of missions after this, and then Apollo 11, where they landed. But predominantly the Apollo 8 mission and the Apollo 10 mission and all that were basically there to find a good landing spot for the Apollo 11 mission and do a proper survey of the moon's surface, which had never been done before in any great detail. It had been photographed earlier in the 1960s, some of it, by various satellites that were sent up by the Russians and the Americans. But yeah, let's get on with it. Stop waffling on about the moon. This is a cool image, and there is some image, like I said, there is some image damage. You got a little bit of paper, just here. There's a bit of paper stuck to it, because these are real photographs, and they've been scanned on the flatbed scanner at high resolution and digitized into what we have here, which is a digital image. But they're done at high resolution at 300 ppi, which is really good. And even when you zoom right in, they don't really break up too much, but you can see some image damage. Now, this isn't damage to the digital image. This is either crap on the scanner or probably scratches on the actual photograph. Up here, there's some bits of crap up here. There's a little hair, possibly a human hair there. This is really common. And often you see little dead bugs like that died and stuck to the photograph where it was stored in the cupboard or a filing cabinet at JPL. Okay, there's some little hairs. This is really common, And often people say, "Oh, this is a UFO. I spotted a UFO in a photograph." Well, no, it's probably not. It's probably just a piece of crap that's stuck to the photo. And obviously, you get these on the actual lower part of the image as well. And I was kind of looking down here, and there's that one. That's a piece of paper, by the looks of it, a very fine shard of paper. Of course, because they're real photographs, they would have been cropped by hand back in the 1960s. Large format, I think they were sort of 8-inch prints, I think. And of course, when you crop paper, when you cut it, you get these little tiny shards of paper that come off, and they often stick to the photograph when they're cropped. So that's a simple explanation for that. But then I was looking over here, and I thought, right, okay, we've got some nice big craters, all look pretty normal, fairly dark, but the image is not bad. I mean, the exposure isn't too bad on this one. Excuse me. A lot of them are too bright, and a lot of them are too dark, but this one's about right. A massive crater up here, absolutely huge, but nothing too out of the ordinary. It's a double crater by the looks of it. One there and one there next to it. Then I looked down here and I thought, this is a nice crater, this one, nice and bright. Now, it's always worth checking out the really bright craters on the moon, because there's often something sticking up out of them, as I've shown before in previous videos. But this is a normal one. You can see the striations going in normally at an angle as they come down like this, which is completely normal. I thought, okay, well, there doesn't seem to be much in this image then. And then I started looking over here, and yeah, there's another crater. Hang on a minute, this crater, you got quite a, not a bright, really bright crater here, but hang on a minute, is this a crater, or is this something sticking up? Now, I know that looks pretty vague, because I haven't done any enhancements to it, and I've zoomed in quite a long way. Let's go back a bit. If you let your eyes adjust to it, you can see a big kind of blob, like a sphere, just here, sticking up. And there's also, over here somewhere, where is it? There's another thing. I'm going to call it a thing because I'm not really sure what it is. There it is. Go to here, and there's this thing. Now, I thought this was also a piece of paper or crap that stuck to the photograph. But if you look carefully, it has shadow. In other words, there's form to it. So this is actually in the image, and it's like a fork shape. Really, really strange, and it looks pretty vague, but I'll show you the clips of those. There's probably a few other things in this image. There's some weird stuff at the back of the image as well up here, but it's too far away to even work out what it is. There seems to be some kind of things sticking up out of this crater here as well, like a big building or something. I'll come back to that, but let's crack on because I don't want to take all day. Let's go to the folder, and I've got some clips here. Right, first let's show you that thing, which is the weird sphere or dome type structure. Here's a raw clip, completely raw, nothing done to that, just been enlarged. And I'm going to flick through. I've already gone in hard with the contrast. Now you can see it a bit better, and you can clearly see this thing is sticking up. That is not going down in like I showed the other crater was, with striations pointing down into the hole, into an actual hole. This is sticking up, and has what looks like a semi-ruined structure or dome or something just there, and you can also make out something behind it here and just here, and it's very, very odd. Let me go to the next image where I've really cranked up the contrast now, really cranked it, and I've used the clarify option on PaintShop Pro 7 or 9, whatever it is, as well, which really pushes out things, and now you can really see it. It's sticking up there, and you've got this kind of semicircular, almost circular outer structure with a large dome, kind of weird. I mean, it's really odd. I mean, is it a dome? Is it a building? It's not quite round. It's kind of odd shaped. When you look at it closely, it's kind of broken up, and it's got separate parts to it and shadows, almost like it's ruined. Could it be a ruined dome? There are others on the moon, sorry. which I've shown before, but usually they're really far off in the distance and you can't really tell what's going on. This is quite close up. Now, distance-wise, I think when they were doing a flyover, it was around the 50, 65. I think I spoke to Dr. Ken Johnson about this, the guy from NASA, when I did an interview with him. He said that these were taken from approximately 65 miles up. And I guessed that they were between 50 and 100, so I wasn't that far off. So yeah, about 60 or more miles off the surface. Now I put a blue filter on that, and it really does help bring out. Let's go back. That looks okay, but when you put the blue filter on it and brighten it more, yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, well, there we have it. I mean, what is it? It's not a crater. It blatantly isn't a crater. It's a structure sticking up from a possible crater with structures around it. There's a structure behind and here. The main thing is there. So that was really weird. Okay, so that's that one covered. Now the other thing, which is further up here somewhere on the image, is here. And let's look at the raw clip first. Doesn't look much, but when you darken it, it really comes to life. Now I did, like I said, I thought this was a piece of paper or crap that stuck to the image, but now I don't. A, it's not bright enough, and B, there's a shadow. You can clearly see a shadow here, so this is a structure. It's actually in the photograph. And when you darken it, you can see it quite clearly. And there's another thing next to it, some kind of structure coming to the right here with uprights, but it's a pretty choppy part of the image, this, and there's lots of kind of pixelation, so detail isn't going to get brilliant, but you can see the basic shape of this, and you can see that there's a line coming up here. So there's distortion in the image there, where maybe from the scanner, the scan was maybe done a bit too quickly, and there's a bit of a distortion line. But you can see this thing, like fork shape there, and it's got kind of parts coming down here, like, really cool. Let's find the next enhancement, and then flick through those, yeah, okay. Like I said, not a lot of detail, but what is this thing? It's some kind of structure. The question is it intelligent? It doesn't look like a completely random kind of little mountainous outcrop, does it? It looks kind of like a construction. You've got upright parts here, and it kind of curves over at the back. It gets thicker. There's a wider section here at the back there. Really weird. I'm really not sure what to make of this one. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go back to that. There's the light blue one and the darker blue one. So you can actually see there's some detail to be seen here. It kind of sticks out like that, and then it kind of comes back like this, and it kind of joins up to there. So really weird. And this looks like some kind of structure here. Now no, don't want that one. Let's go back to this one. In fact, that one's better. Yeah. Strange, really strange. And when you get too close to it, of course, it doesn't look great. Helps if you go back a bit. Yeah. Weird. Now, answers on the postcard, guys. Leave your comments below. I really don't know what to think of this one. Don't even know what to call this one. Weird. And I kind of overlooked this when I was doing my search through Apollo 8 images a couple of years ago. And incidentally, I did re-upload one of my videos from that load I did a couple of years back. Giant pipes and domes found on the moon. There will be a link to it after this video. Well worth seeing if you haven't seen that. That's also Apollo 8. And what I did, I basically went through the Apollo archive and went through all the Apollo 8 images, then I went through Apollo 10, and then I went through all the, well, I haven't been through every single one, but I've probably been through most of these, but some of them I just kind of quickly looked at. But the Apollo 8, for me, are the best ones as far as anomalies go, like buildings. But you might find some in Apollo 10. You won't find much in Apollo 11. Apollo 11 is largely pictures of them sort of supposedly walking around on the surface. But yeah, there are lots of things to find in these images, basically. I would go for some of the earlier sols if you're looking for any structures. as they flew around the moon looking for a landing spot or a clear area. And if any of you out there think we didn't go to the moon, yeah, I know a lot of people think this. That's fine, but this image was taken before we actually supposedly landed on the moon. So, you know, saying we didn't go to the moon doesn't cancel out these photographs, because these were predecessors of Apollo 11. I've been heavily trolled by flat earthers, especially on this Cassini final images video I did. Loads of dislikes and loads of bot comments as well, and people from unknown locations making comments, and when you look them up, you can't find out where they're from. They've got no proper account or anything on YouTube. Complete sock puppet twats, a lot of them. So pardon my French. So yeah, so if you're a flat earther, just piss off and leave me alone, for God's sake. There's enough evidence in this website here, on this website, on Flickr, Apollo Archive, to completely prove that the Earth is not flat. You just got to look at the bloody photographs. But no, you won't look at the photographs because you're stupid, and you'd rather cause loads of trouble trolling channels like mine. In fact, I don't even think most of these flat Earth people are even real. There are a few real ones out there, and you can see them all over Facebook, posting crap every day, trolling stuff, anything to do with astronomy, they troll it, saying that everything in space is fake, so that's utter bollocks. But basically, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of evidence here that the Earth is round, and they don't like it, and they will tell you that all images of space are fake, which is utter rubbish. But you can see the whole chronology of the Apollo images in these missions here, in these different magazines, and they've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. In fact, there's about 14 and, oh, not quite a half thousand, there's 14.2 thousand photos here, and they're not all fake. Most of them are absolutely normal. Some of the ones on the ground may have been slightly doctored, but largely I think they're okay. I mean, they're good quality and they show pretty good detail, and when you zoom into them they don't break up too badly because they're quite high quality. Let's have another look at that thing, because I did another enhancement of it in a different colour with a filter on it just to make that stand out. That really doesn't look like a crater, a normal crater at all. This is some kind of half dilapidated dome structure. And how big is it? I couldn't tell you. Let me have a look at the overall image. If we're about, say, 60 miles up, looking down across the moon, with the Earth in the background, and we're looking down here, I'd imagine this crater here would be miles across, and this is a lot smaller. Oh, I don't know. I would say this is about 4 miles, this one, and this is a fraction of that. It's probably less than half a mile, I'd imagine. Don't really know. If any of you guys can work that out, let me know. But yeah, like I was saying, a lot of these flat earthers aren't even real. They're actually fake people pretending to be flat earthers who are just going around confusing people whenever they see evidence of alien life on other planets, especially like our moon and Mars. And they'd actually deliberately go around and try and throw people off the scent by posting utter crap and garbage about the flat Earth. So yeah, and I've been tracking some of these guys, and they're very persistent. And when you try and work out where they're from on Google Analytics, it says unknown location. So they're using some kind of device to block their IP address so it doesn't come up and Google can't read it. So they may be just using a different browser or something like that, but they're definitely blocking their IP address so they cannot be tracked. So there we have it. So that was it really. I'll put clips in of these again in a second, and thank you all for subscribing, especially if you're new. Do check out some of my older videos. I've got loads of older ones that you might want to check out. And I may actually be uploading some more older stuff from 2 or 3 years ago, because a lot of it didn't get that many views the first time round because I had a lot less subscribers then. So don't be surprised if you see the odd repeat coming up here and there. I'm not doing it just willy-nilly. I'm actually doing it because I really do think that some of these earlier finds that I made are quite outstanding and really do need a sort of closer inspection by more people. And now I have a lot more subscribers. That's what I'll be doing. So thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I will see you soon.